All right, let's get to work. Got that list going out. Okay. Um, all right. Hey, good morning, everybody. Hop on in. If you're not here now, have fun staying poor. Dun, 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 dun. Klarna, AirPods. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, why is this all? My phone's making noises. It's not on silent, and I'm freaking out. Okay, hey, let's take a look at the market. We got a few things to go over this morning.
MRVL just got a pretty big spike there. I don't know.
What
There
did?
was some large cap names moving around in pre-market that I didn't really find MRVL. I didn't really find headlines for. Amazon and AVGO were jumping around too.
Nice. Actually, I almost bought this on Friday. I was watching this gap down and reverse at the open. If you look at this, like first 45 minutes, made like a 5% move. Um, I consider this is one that's on my list of semis. ASML is on there, LRCX, AMAT. Um, Probably the highest on my list in terms of semis. And then of course you got MU, WDC, SNDK. Not not entirely sure what to make of those. I think that they need work, but
That
and
was
your
an interesting
CSIQ,
post from yeah, CSIQ's gapping up pretty big right from the pre-market open.
that's impressive.
Christian's post was interesting this morning.
What do you say? Oh, I saw you post it in the chat.
Marvell
Uh,
extends collaboration with Microsoft. Okay.
nice. Um, yeah, I feel that. I feel that. All right. So we are gapping down 0.9% here to start the week on the Qs. I've still got this little map drawn out that we drew out in the middle of last week of, you know, pop above the moving averages, pop above the Thursday open, up towards this, bearish gap from back here on 1113 at 618, and then do a little angle to the dangle up here around these MAs. I actually didn't have it going as far as it did on Friday, but this isn't meant to follow one to one. It's just kind of meant to be more of a general kind of roadmap, right? So we're starting off the week gapping decently below Friday's low, and back into this support from Thursday, or not, sorry, this high from that Thursday sell candle right there. There are some areas down below that are interesting. We just need to see how strong they're going to be, right? Are we going to see buyers step in? Are we going to see a higher low, or are we starting to see another you know just influx of sellers that are coming in at the first, really one of the first resistance spots. Sure, they could have rejected the 50-day moving average. They could have rejected up here at Thursday's open, but drifted into this bearish gap that I've got highlighted here, and starting to pull back. So overall, the most likely scenario here is to make a higher low somewhere. That's pretty much going to be like the next most likely scenario, because if we don't, that means that we go all the way and break Friday's low, which is at 580. That would be pretty gnarly to quickly all the way come down here and make a lower low, without some sort of build out in this area. So how far does that drift down? Do we make a higher high after that higher low? And do our how are stocks acting during that higher low period, right? So that's how I've got this kind of mapped out. Um, it would actually be a little bit hard if we did end up, pushing red to green. That would be okay. Ideally, we actually kind of close just like this candle, maybe push up into the gap a little bit, and maybe like more like doji-esque would be I'd be okay with something like that. But really, I'm happy with the stocks that I've got on my broader list right now, and I'm very comfortable just observing these, how they behave, and then seeing what the market offers. COHR was a really nice mover last week from Tuesday. This undercut right here, and this is down 2% in the pre-market. Yeah, I mentioned on Friday up into essentially this area around 165 ish. If you're looking to sell the quick burst, that's a good area to take some off. Otherwise, I want to see how this kind of consolidates and tightens up here. If it's able to just do a short rest, let some of the MAs catch up, build out, and then push higher would be ideal. CIEN, got this at the same time. Really just excited about this group, given the way that LITE has traded. I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of stuff on Twitter about the AVGO and Google and um, LITE and all that stuff. And it's essentially kind of a play on that. Um, and then this Reddit here this morning, it's got an upgrade to 290 from Piper Sandler. Barely know her. Sorry. Um, I think that's funny. No, it's not. Okay. You got an inside day Friday and then down 2% here today. Really like this. First off, really like this like 2 day push up here. There's about an 18-20% move above all the MAs after not making a lower low compared to in November when the market was making a lower low. So I really like that. And it's just general like Reddit behavior to get this like this is tighter basing, obviously, but to kind of just this is just very Reddit-like behavior, even from back here after it IPO'd, even from right here after the April lows and into June, July. And maybe we're seeing that again. Maybe not, right? Maybe this, ends up popping above into this, area and fading off lower and actually breaking down. I don't think so necessarily, or at least I don't think there's enough evidence of that to lean towards that. I think there's enough evidence to lean towards that this is behaving really well. 50 SMA is still sloping down, which we do need. We do need that to start curling up quickly. And I think if this ends up breaking out higher out of this consolidation, that this will start sloping up. One thing to be mindful, the first things you look at when you see this are, these three tight days. But it is important to be mindful that the 20 EMA is down here at $200, so about 5% below where we're currently at. My best entries, my most profitable trading is when I'm buying right against the 20 EMA, like by far. So it's just something to be mindful of that that this very well could need a little bit more time. Might get some sort of undercut around 207. Might need 4 or 5 more days, but really interested in this. And then this CRS is another one that I'm watching pretty closely this morning. I like the way that this has behaved against this high volume close from 1023 on its earnings move. Doesn't necessarily have the greatest history. It's got a good enough history of moves to where this is tradable. It's a little bit thin. Only does about let's just call it 800K a day. But $300 stock, it's good enough. If this it is pretty simple. If this goes red to green, I'm buying it. If it doesn't, I'll wait for it to go green. But this is the pre-market setup for a go signal. If you do get that bullish engulfing candle, this is gonna go directly in that setups channel for a go signal. So pretty excited about that. And then I listed out a variety of other kind of stocks that I'm just kind of generally watching for consolidation for further setups. Whether it be this Unity here, right? Again, another one that some of these subtle higher lows, like I am interested in, right? This made its low all the way back here in October at $34, gapped up on earnings, kind of had this little whatever stuff that, I tried trading, made its low on 11.14, and then a higher low when the market made another low. So I do like that, and now we're kind of getting a little bit of flagging action against, like, this bigger trend line area right there. Okay. So this is something that I'm watching. TMDX, gonna kind of see how this behaves and consolidates up here as we have broken out of this base. Again, higher low, higher low, higher low, breaking out. See if we can kind of get tight, 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 and then push. I wish I would have bought it, but this was just a little bit wide and loose right here ahead of that breakout. Manrev did a really good job of navigating that. Um, and then some of these semis that I'm tracking, which I went over briefly, ASML right here in this kind of base. Basically, if this gets tight here over the course of the next week, week and a half, um, I'm gonna get ready to really hit that. AMAT, Jirasachi had a really nice trade on this. I'm not sure if he's still in it, but I love the way that this has behaved over the past 2 weeks, give or take. And if you zoom out, a little bit of consolidation here on like a cup and handle under 250 would be ideal. You've got a pretty clear breakout pivot at 250, 252 on this. And then NXT. So CSIQ had started its move on a headline with NXT back in, what was it, like September, October. And I'm curious if this headline that it puts out today about taking back over its U.S. manufacturing has any effect on their partnership with NXT or anything like that. I'm not sure. I wasn't able to look into it further. Um, but basically, I'll just let the price action decide. I know that CSIQ and NXT have had. Wait, no, not CSIQ. I'm thinking of TE. Um, Anyways, I do like this setup here in case we get a wedge pop. Basically through pre-market highs, about 92 on this. And then TE is another one that I'm looking for, just some consolidation and build out. So this is exciting. Guys, this is like essentially the ideal start to the week. It's a little bit heavier than you probably would like, right? You don't necessarily want to see like a big bearish like kicker candle necessarily, especially coming after a holiday week, like. But overall, I think that people are going to be like, oh, yep, just a holiday week, low volume, scam pump, Ponzi, blah 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 blah, and then yeah, I think they'll probably be left behind again. But we'll see. We don't have exactly enough evidence to come in and be ready to slap. But this is a good start. This is a start of consolidation after five pretty large days of move up, following about an 8.5% correction on the Nasdaq, and let's look for some opportunities throughout the week, and let's continue to look for standout names. Um, Not quite the same thing, but I'm just kind of reminded of the feel this day. Again, not nearly the same thing, but this gap down day that got, fairly nasty in the morning, especially on some individual names. There's a lot of single stocks on 430 that were gapping down pretty notably. And then it ended up being literally like the ideal day to buy some of those leader stocks. I remember that was the day that GEV broke out and gave this just picture perfect pattern over about 367. Anyways, so we'll see. Embrace the gap down. Doesn't mean just go out ready to slap. Some of the bases in some of the leaders are still suspect and not fully repaired, although we have had 5 days in a row. So we're still a little bit penis in between us. So stay on your toes. Um, let's have a good week. Rocco, what up?
Man, bringing the positive energy this morning. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to be back. I missed a couple days last week. I definitely feel like I need a full day to feel like I'm like back. I still feel like I'm like missing some things, and I definitely need to scan some more today. Um, I don't see much to do today. Kind of looking back at the action. It seems we had a bit of a lockout rally start last week. Just grinding up on the short holiday week. Was only 3.5 days, but made some pretty significant progress. I mean, we got through that Thursday bad bar high like it was pretty much nothing. And I did post in my Sunday scans section that I did go back and study the last couple, like, call it like more shallow, like intermediate corrections of like 8 to 10%. And pretty often they like lock out like this and can continue to do so. And even on gap downs, get bought up. So, I mean, today I think will be an important test. I mean, we'll see if those buyers come back in today and we just kind of like slowly grind up and maybe even go green or fill the gap. But it'll be a good test if we do pull back more. If we pull back a little bit more than this, we're going to see really which stocks are going to be the standout if we're going to go higher, right? On that kind of first pullback after the first rally off the lows. I will say if we're going higher, two things I see playing out. First is going to be like this continued like lockout rally characteristics, right? Where dips continue to get bought, pullbacks are very shallow. But second of all, if we do pull up, a little bit deeper, maybe even go test the moving averages below, when these corrections do come down and put in a higher low before going higher, if you go back and study some, they do often pull back just a little more than people would feel comfortable with. If anybody remembers, like much different scenario, but like as an example of the cycle, like into September of last year, where we had like a really nice consolidation into the moving averages, everything looked great, and then there was like one nasty shakeout before we continued higher. Which this wouldn't be like the shakeout spot. If that were that scenario played out, it would be lower. I think back maybe closer to like 600 on the Qs or maybe a little lower. I would love that. I mean, that would really, stir up and reset positioning and sentiment even more, I think, if we got even lower than that. But yeah, I mean, I'm just going to kind of watch things today. I don't see, I managed to put together a decent little watch list, but I don't really see anything that's ready today. I don't have like exposure positions from last week. So, unfortunately, I feel like I need to let the charts kind of consolidate a little bit more. So I'm personally hoping for that. But yeah, I don't see much to do today. There was some decent news this morning, a lot of upgrades and stuff like that. I wouldn't say nothing super notable. TSDR kind of posted in his channel the few things that were probably the most interesting from this morning. I really do like Reddit. I like how much emphasis you're putting on this. This does look really nice. One of the better looks. This thing can move. It's one of those growthier type names. So that'd be nice. But yeah, I don't really have any strong thoughts today. Obviously, Bitcoin is leading lower today. It'll be really interesting to see if this is going to put in some sort of higher low. Sort of capitulated earlier today. I don't know if anyone was watching
Saw
like the
that.
Bitcoin pre-market action, but it got really nasty, and I almost thought about trading it for a bounce trade this morning. But yeah, it started to get speed up a good bit this morning around 8 a.m. and saw some pretty big like volume at the lows, and we've since recovered. So it'd be interesting to see, especially when some of these capitulations like Friday, November 21st on Bitcoin, where IBIT traded the highest volume since inception. When you get those capitulations or those extensions like really far from the 20 EMA, like 17% below the 20 EMA, and then they have a pretty big oversold bounce, after you get the reversal extension, the target is the 20 EMA, which is sort of where we got to on Bitcoin. And then, typically if you're going to get a wedge pop, the volatility can be pretty high before you get that. So will be interesting to see if we high or low on this year. I mean, that'd be pretty good for the markets. We've seen crypto being pretty correlated recently with like the Nasdaq and stuff. So yeah, we'll see. I'm more in the camp of kind of just watching stuff and taking notes today. Don't see anything to do, to be honest.
Manrav just had a good message in his channel, which is keep it simple, 50-day moving average, big spot to hold. And like I said in my note, that all three short-term moving averages are about within 50 cents of that area. We got two bullish open gaps below on the QQQ. Well, yeah, one of them from Tuesday to Wednesday, and then one of them from Friday to Monday, which I'll shift here to play out right here. These two green bullish open gaps right there. So again, those are just some areas to watch on the QQQ. I had noted that the index edge is diminishing, or you could feel that diminishing edge of watching the indexes last week, starting Monday and Tuesday, especially Tuesday, into the end, or into the end of the week. And that's, really something to note. Now it feels like a little bit of that has returned to watch these. So I think, maybe I was a little premature with saying that. I do think we should continue to monitor those a little bit. A little bit, yeah. Market opens in 5 minutes. Encourage people to stay active. One thing, yeah, Zen just noted about the rate sensitive names. I hope people are reading that ETF section in Sunday scans because yeah, I think it's really valuable. I'm watching this XHB. The two stocks I have on my list are Lennar. I really like this kind of influx of volume over the past week and a half on Lennar.
Dude, look
This
at
is
the monthly chart on XHB. I was like, because I was like, I went on the weekly and I was like, man, this is like a really big weekly pattern, but the monthly chart is.
really nice.
Look at the last like couple months too, the way it's like setting up. Yeah,
It's like a go signal on the
really
month.
nice look.
This looks really good. Um, and you got the 50 SMA down below. This reminds me of the way that some of the other ETFs that have been prominent kind of came out of from down here where they remounted the 50 SMA, pulled back in, consolidated. Like it feels like we're kind of right around here on like XLV. Um, yeah, Lennar is on my list and TOL is on my list. Um, and then even maybe, Zillow, I'm not super interested in. Anywho, let's have a good week. Everybody's got any questions, comments, concerns? Let's stay active in the chat, stay focused, and have some fun. This ONDS is actually interesting. Technically, I can pre-market. Like if I were getting that, if this were like the daily candle during cash hours, right here through 791 it would essentially be triggering the trade. Remember on a oops reversal or go signal, it's the opening range, the previous day low, and the previous day close, and the 50% that kind of trigger those spots. So technically we're pretty close to there. So I think this is worthy of having on your screens, um, right around the top of this base too. I think we keep our eyes on that. Um, today. I could see myself getting involved in that. And again, Reddit, CRS, keeping it pretty simple. Um, let's go do what we do. Let's have some fun. Yeah, XRT, very similar, Kel. Yep, XRT, very similar. I saw Shopify was down 4%. Some of the Black Friday growth was under estimates, from how it appears. Everybody got any stocks they're watching besides what we're talking about? Yeah, I can dig that. Nice little
I'd love
UNR.
for this to put in like a shakeout candle again, like that one right there, but like down and like soak up at 100. You know?
Yeah, like this.
Mm-hmm.
That would be nice. Yeah, it's worthy. All right, get your stock boxes filled out. Ooh, CIEN. Ding, ding, ding.
It'll be interesting to watch some of these data center names too, because it seems like a few have been separating themselves from the pack, like CIFR and Wolf,
Yeah.
versus how like you know MBIS or Irene is acting. Very interesting.
I'd love to get